Do you have PCOS, and not only do you want to get pregnant, but do you also want to feel healthy? If that's you, then welcome to the PCOS Fertility Health Podcast. Hi, I'm Dr. Angela Potter, an integrative PCOS fertility specialist, and I'm here to share with you the tools that you need to help your body get prepped for baby. Let's go. You might be wondering, how is my approach different than the other doctors that you've seen? How is it that I can approach PCOS and fertility different when you've already been to these other doctors and nothing has worked? Your cycles are still irregular and you're not pregnant yet. So what is it about my approach that's different that the women who are coming to my practice are getting regular cycles naturally and who are able to get pregnant naturally? That's what I'm going to outline for you today. And I love that you're here because what I know about you is that not only do you want to get pregnant, but you also want to set your body up for a healthy pregnancy and a healthy baby. And you are committed to your health. You are an action taker and you want the steps forward to understand why your body is keeping you stuck and what you can do to turn that around, which is why it's so cool that you're here because that's my expertise. And I'm going to outline for you today how that's different from all the other doctors that you have seen so far. Different from your primary care, from your fertility specialist, your endocrinologist. So before we jump into that, I'm going to share some words that somebody wrote about her time working with me. And she writes, Dr. Potter has been a miracle worker for me and my hormone imbalance that I have struggled with for over 20 years. She is so knowledgeable, kind, and listens to every concern. After 7 years of trying to conceive, I am pregnant. She has helped my body heal and return to the way it was designed to function. I can't recommend her enough. Thank you so much for sharing those words. Her story here is not an outlier. Okay, this is what's happening in my practice. Women who are working with me and getting fertility plans from me are able to get pregnant naturally. I have full confidence in helping you get your body to have regular cycles and for you to ovulate and have your body prepped for baby. And today I'm going to share with you how that's different from all these other doctors that you've seen before. And this is the beginning of a series. So I'm going to outline, highlight different aspects of what I'm doing that's different and how that's beneficial for your fertility journey and for your PCOS. So what we're going to talk about today is how I can help you with a holistic approach to your fertility and to your PCOS that traditional doctors are missing. What does that mean? We've got to unpack that a little bit. The thing is, PCOS is a syndrome. It's a mix of different symptoms that are setting you up for PCOS. And so it responds best to this whole body approach. So here's a story to help you understand how my approach is different. I was working with somebody and she had worked with doctors who were pretty non-hopeful about PCOS and fertility. She wasn't given a lot of good answers, wasn't given very much hope about her outcomes for being able to get pregnant, but she knew that there had to be a way. And so she started working with me, and I looked at her labs in this comprehensive way. So I didn't just look at progesterone and estrogen. I didn't just look at vitamin D levels. I looked at this whole comprehensive view of her and what was going on. And lo and behold, I found something very clear. And her thyroid antibodies were through the roof. And no other doctor had found those. Her other doctors actually hadn't tested her thyroid before. So this had gone completely missed, completely undiagnosed. And here she was still having irregular cycles. Her other doctors were telling her, well, you could try one more medicated cycle, but really you just need to move forward to IVF. And when she worked with me, I found that her thyroid antibodies were elevated. And that is significant for fertility because if those antibodies are elevated, that's creating inflammation. Even though it's happening with the thyroid, it's creating inflammation that is impacting fertility and implantation and your ability to get pregnant. And with this particular person, she also had gut health issues that when she was describing her symptoms to me, it was like, burr, 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 red flags here. red flags that she was having these symptoms that were, again, contributing to inflammation in her body that, yes, they had to do with her gut. And you're thinking, but your gut, I mean, that's different than your ovaries and your uterus, right? Yeah, it's a totally different system in the body. But guess what? Your body is working all together. Your body is not a machine where your ovaries and your uterus are over here just doing what they need to be doing without talking to anything else in the body. Your gut is not over here just digesting your food and not talking to anything else in the body. No, inflammatory cells from the gut, they talk to the ovaries. And you know what? They're talking to the brain, and the brain's talking to them. And then it disrupts the brain, and then the brain can't send out hormones to the thyroid. I mean, we could get all mixed up into this web, but you don't need to. You just need to understand that these systems are connected. And when you are working with a doctor who is hyper focused on your ovaries and your reproductive hormones and getting you on a medicated cycle just so you can get an egg to come out of the ovary, that's missing the whole point. Because getting that egg out of the ovary with that medication, that's one small step in this process of fertility. And so my approach is this holistic approach. And with this person that I'm telling you about who had the elevated thyroid antibodies and she had those gut symptoms, I'm like, okay, we're getting you on a plan to lower those antibodies. Here's how to set up your diet so that it's supportive, that it's stopping that inflammation happening in your gut. Here are recipes for you. I gave her some recipes. I talked through how on a daily basis can you be doing this? What do snacks look like? What do drinks look like? How does breakfast, lunch, and dinner look like? Step by step, walked her through the process to support that gut health. Meanwhile, we're working on PCOS and fertility, and I'm walking her through the steps for that. And within the next month, she was having a 30-day cycle. And her body was feeling better. She wasn't having as many symptoms before. And a few months after that, she was pregnant naturally. And what it took was me finding these other systems that were impacting her fertility that none of her doctors had identified or diagnosed for her. This is how I help you get to the root cause of your fertility struggles, is that I'm looking at the body in this holistic way to understand what are these other systems that are contributing to your fertility struggles that are going completely missed, that need to be looked at, that need to be identified through your symptoms, through your labs, and to look at that and then get you on a plan so that that's taken care of, so that these other systems are working as they're supposed to be. And guess what? That's also the ticket to feeling healthy. On your path to pregnancy, that's how you are able to feel like your body is working as it's supposed to, feel healthy, feel like your body is prepped for baby, and that you're ready for a healthy pregnancy and a healthy baby. You've got to get these other systems looked at, your sleep, your mood. I'm asking you these questions each time we're working together. By the way, I work virtually. I'm not sure if you knew that, but I do virtual sessions. So even if you're not in my area, we can work together. And I'm asking you, how has your sleep been? How has your digestion been? How has your mood been? And these are important markers for me to understand this holistic approach to your needs for your fertility. And so that's how that's different from traditional doctors that you've seen before. Here's another story for you. I was working with someone who had been trying to get pregnant for 7 years before working with me. And she had been to multiple doctors, nothing. She could not find the answer. She was taking tons of supplements and her cycles were still irregular. And of course, she hadn't been able to get pregnant. She started working with me and I looked at her cortisol levels because that's another system that when I'm looking at this holistic perspective, cortisol and stress and the adrenal glands, that's another system that's important for me to look at. I looked at that for her and her cortisol was through the roof. And no other doctor had identified this for her. No one had checked it for her. It was through the roof. And that was impacting her progesterone, impacting her egg quality. And so I got her on a plan to lower that. 3 months into working with me, she had had a regular cycle and ovulated and got pregnant naturally on that cycle. That is the power at having this holistic approach that I can help you with to help with your fertility. And so if you want a story similar to hers or the story I told you a few minutes ago, your first step, and this is the same first step that these two took, was to book a free PCOS fertility breakthrough session. And you can book yours at drangelapotter.com/PCOS. So today you've learned one aspect of how my approach is different from these other doctors that you've worked with so far. You now understand that I come from a holistic approach to look at all these different ways that your body is talking together, these different systems that are impacting fertility. And when they're getting missed, that keeps you stuck. You learn 2 success stories of women who were able to get pregnant naturally when they got those pieces put together from me. And you learned as a PCOS specialist that I am here to help you when you're ready. It is possible to get regular periods and to ovulate on your own when you have PCOS. I see this all the time in my practice, and women with PCOS are getting pregnant every single day. And you could very well be next. Hold on to that as you go forward today. If you want to support this podcast, you can leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or simply share this episode with your friends. And as a reminder, the information on this podcast is just that. It's information, and it should not replace the medical advice that you are currently getting from your doctor. Thanks so much for being here. I'll see you right back here next Wednesday.